gamers, and welcome to episode 442 of the Super Ultra Podcast Arcade for January 13th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Daniel Nicholson, and with me is my co-host, Dominic Stallworth. What's going on this week, Dominic?
It's pretty good week as far as like entertainment for me personally. Like as far as games, announcements, and in sports.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was gonna jump right into it. You have the in NFL. So like the NFL is over. The season is over with, and we're as of right now. Well, as of this podcast, the first weekend of the playoffs will be over. So like everybody's gonna be paying attention to that. And I know some of the controversy is the Peacock game. That has been talked about like a lot. How people just hate that a game is exclusive on Peacock. A freaking playoff game. It's like it was bad enough. It's bad enough you had a regular season game. Now you put a playoff game, and like people are just angry, man, because a lot of people don't have Peacock.
Yeah,
and it's not one of the well-known streaming sites or streaming apps, and people know it. They have no interest in it, you know. And so now you have it so that you can get it. Some people say like, well, there might be a free thing. I don't know what it is now. What's the free, but for you to go through that, you know, it's like, no. Why would you have something exclusive in that way? It's bad enough you have some games on cable. That's the thing, because the Monday night game is going to be on ESPN. And like, well, they doing it on Monday night too. That's just I never liked that either. But yeah, so it's not right. It's all about money. And they paid them $110 million, the NFL, to do this. But like someone said, the NFL's like, they're not hurting for money.
Right.
It's like it's now it's become to be like, what is enough? It's never enough.
It's never enough. No,
like
we got people we got to answer to, Dominic, and they always want more money.
And it's that why even do this? Like look, let it be that the fans can say this. And I think there's one congressman who even said that, like, say the NFL to not do this or something like that. And you know what? And there's some people would now listen. At first, I was like these people too. Like it's like we got more important things to worry about. Congress to be worried about. The NFL's doing the app, but Daniel, then somebody did bring up. Oh, I had lost you there for a minute. You still there?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Oh, okay. What's the last thing you heard me say?
Right as you were talking about, right after we talked about how, you know, they have enough money. You started your next sentence.
Oh, but I was saying the congressman.
Yeah, I heard you say there was a congressman.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah. I was saying, like, now people were saying how the congressman shouldn't. It's like he's saying like, he has more important things to worry about than this. Like, this is not like, even though I agree with him, it's that this is not important for him to be discussing. But as someone pointed out, because I was with those people too, but then someone pointed out, which is like, yeah, you say that, but you know, taxpayers pay for these stadiums.
Yeah.
Like we listen, the public has put money in these teams, whether you either like it or not. You like it or not, you have used your tax money. A lot of people have used their tax money where they live at, in these cities and stuff, to pay for these teams and put money in towards these teams. So you know what? I think you should have some say.
Yeah.
Like to say like, look, I should be able to see these fucking games. I can't afford to go to them. A lot of people can't afford to go to them. I should be able to see them. And like, then what's the point? Like, then at that point, it's like, wait a minute, I want my money back. Tell them to give our money back for that stadium if they're going to be putting their games on goddamn Peacock, where I got to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. So you know what?
Cut me a check.
I think
that's what I want.
And yeah, I think there is some government stuff that should deal with. And I mean, I know, and technically, I don't blame that. I think that it should be. I wouldn't even mind that. I mean, people can say it's a waste of time. Fine, they're wasting time on a lot of other shit too. But they like if they could, if there's something in there, I know like the government is really big in baseball, like they really have a stamp in baseball, football. Well, the only thing, I mean, I don't know the details of it. I know it's not as much as like in baseball, yeah. But I'm saying like, yeah, there should be something like, look, man, these games are popular. Like they know you make this like NFL is the biggest thing in this country. It moves a lot of things. Like make it. Hey, we gotta keep the people happy. Put the damn games on regular TV.
No blackouts.
Like, don't get the people angry. Like, look, man.
Let me watch it.
Y'all the things y'all calming this down. So, if people start watching football, they're gonna start looking at how we fucking up over here. We need to calm the public. But yeah, blackouts. Yeah, the FCC stuff. Yeah, they need to stop that shit too. That shit needs to go away. Like, that needs to be not a thing at all. Yeah. There should be no such thing as a blackout. There should be no such thing as a blackout. That should be a thing of a past. Think of the past. All right. So, other than that, though, the good news stuff is with my Washington Commanders. Even though we're not in the playoffs, we had a horrible year. They fired their coach, Rivera. Like, I'm not happy he's gone. Like as for like, yeah, I didn't like him. Like I didn't dislike the guy, but it needed to be a change. So yeah, they got him. So we're looking for a coach, but we did hire a general manager, and we hired some other guys too, some other head guys too to help with the team too. I don't have it up here right now. I forgot what it was, but we just hired a general manager from I was at San Francisco, so that's a big deal. Like, right now, it's really looking good of where the direction this team is going as far as the hiring process. And, like, now we got people who wants to come here. Like, I don't think we would have got that guy from San Francisco if this was an old regime. And if we didn't have all this cap money and we didn't have number two pick. I don't think we would have got him. So, like, yeah, I think so far is looking good as far as the offseason, which we have done supposedly well in the offseason in past years. Like, we didn't find out that we fell in the offseason until the season started. Then we realized, all those moves were bad. Because there always be a joke how Washington always wins the offseason, but we don't win the season. But yeah, but this time it just feels different because of Snyder not being there. And because of the candidates that we have possibly for coaching, I think is more appealing. I know Jim Harbaugh, he just won the championship for Michigan. And there's some people who want him to come here. And it's appealing to come here. I don't know what he wants. He didn't say he didn't. But I don't know if I want him, though, honestly. I'm just not I don't know if I want that here. Like, I mean, I understand how people say, like, they like him because players like him and stuff like that, and the culture he brings sometimes, like, a fandom. And I get that. I say, yeah, but I don't know. It's just something that it's something in me that I just feel like, I don't know. I think it'd be better not to have him. But he'd be somewhere else. Like I'll root for him because I sort of liked him. Like him. He's okay. I never disliked him. Put it like this. I never disliked him. I thought he shouldn't have. I thought he got a bad deal in San Francisco at the end of his tenure. Then fire. Did they fire him or just I forget. But yeah, I don't know about here. Maybe if he's coach here, yeah. I mean, I'll just be like, oh, fine. But if there was a choice, I would say no. But I wonder where he would coach at, honestly, because if it's San Diego, which is a good stop, they got a quarterback there and stuff like that. But San Diego has no fans, so and like he seemed like a guy who's really into the fans and stuff. It's like, man, you have no fans. It's like, unfortunately,
bring him with him.
It's San Diego. That's the only bad thing, but that's the only bad thing about San Diego, really. Yeah. It's the fandom. There's no fans, and that's sad. And that's another thing about NFL is that that's when it's like, man, money is so big that like they don't even give a damn. No, got no fans. But it was still better to. I guess it was still better to move to L.A. than stay in San Diego. What else is happening? Oh yeah, you also got some coaches that have been let go. You got Pete Carroll for the Seahawks. He's been let go. They say he could be an advisor. And then you got Bill Belichick. He been let go from the Patriots, basically. Man. Well, he stepped down, basically, but it was whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how you want to say that. He's gone.
Has to step down.
Nick Saban is gone. He left.
Oh man,
from Alabama. And I'm thinking like at that. I mean, there is really like this. Nobody saw that coming with Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking he's leaving because of what the changes of college football with these players having more of a voice. That he's just not. He doesn't want to deal with that.
Can't get with that.
Like he has to deal with now. Like now the changes are that you have to scout twice with players now because they might want to leave the school after a season. They don't because you can't just stay in the school. You don't have to stay at the school for 4 years. And like that and that Pacific program. So like people keep going to the portal and going to other schools and things of that nature. It's just he probably doesn't want to deal with it more because we already know he didn't like it, of course. And I mean I understand why he didn't like it, but thing is, and like I understand, but then it's like, yo, that means you're just okay with fucking people over too at the same time. I mean, you probably didn't see it that way. Like I think those coaches, they forced themselves to not see it that way. I don't think they're horrible human beings or anything, but I think there are people who know something is wrong, but you will do everything excuses in your mind to make it sound like it's not wrong. To make it not wrong, so it can be okay that what you were doing. And the thing is, we all know is that it's not enough just to say you got to go to college. You got a free pass to college or something like that. You got to go to a big college. You would never got to go to a big college if you couldn't play football.
Yeah.
And
you get your name on the grand stage. That's what they expect.
Yeah, but that's not enough, man.
Because you're making experience, Dominic.
Yeah, because that doesn't equate to what the school makes from you.
Yeah, not at all.
on that field and from football. How much money that school makes from football? I mean, people and or basketball or any of those sports really. And those are the major ones. So yeah, so he stepped down. So I was like, man, so who's gonna fill those shoes in Alabama? Like, I mean, they were the most dominant team for a while, man. They always seem to be in the playoffs. They're always in championship talks. People say he's the greatest coach ever in college football. I don't say that because I don't know how you determine that. I mean, if you determine about him going and wins, fine. But when recruiting the best players all the time, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical. Like, but what if he did stuff under the table? Does that still make him the best coach?
No.
Like, if you get the best players, if you did it, I mean, there's no evidence of it. But I don't know. I don't know how you determine. Like, if you got the best talent, how do you determine he's the best coach? That's all. That's really what it is. For me, I'm pretty happy with that because now there could be competition. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't mean that Alabama's just going to go bad or anything, but it's just that I think there's a chance for the kids to go there. Some kids who, they were going to that school for him, so they can go somewhere else. And maybe I can stop seeing Alabama win all the time. So,
do you think he goes to a different school, or does he find a spot
I think
in
he
the NFL
left because, I mean, the whole situation.
He's just done.
Yeah, I think he's just done because I think that the situation with him,
because he doesn't want to put up with. Got it.
Yeah, because if he goes to another school, that doesn't make any sense.
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah, you're right about that. But I guess kind of the same situation with the NFL then. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, some people are thinking maybe NFL. He's an old dude. I mean, I think
Okay.
I mean, Belichick is too, but they still, and so is Pete Carroll. All three of them are like old dudes, but Pete Carroll, he's a young 70, man. That man's energetic. Yeah, he be smoking, he be
It
doing
always seemed
cocaine.
like, yeah, I mean, hearing he's 70, that does sound a little surprising.
Um, so what? Because some people were saying like, hey, Pete Carroll. Well, my brother, he was my Pete Carroll coming over to Washington, but I was saying he's old though, man. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, even though yeah, he's energetic and stuff. I mean, yeah, I get that, but I want somebody who's gonna be here.
Right.
Like, how much
I
longer
mean,
he's gonna be here?
can he build around, build a system around
I
himself?
mean, that's the thing
to
he
then,
said. I said, yeah, but I mean, okay, if that's the case, then fine. But I don't know. I was like,
yeah.
I don't know.
There are a lot of
I,
guys that aren't willing to do that. It just, yeah.
yeah. What else is what else? Oh yeah. So there's really not much to talk about in basketball. Um, but in baseball, I know the Orioles seem to they might be partnering with a new advertisement because they didn't have an advertisement on their jerseys last year. They didn't.
Right.
They didn't have. But now they somebody reported Tom Lavero. I think he writes for the Washington Times. He said T. Rowe Price
Okay.
will be up there, possibly $75 million, 5 years, $75 million.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, I heard of them. I don't really. So I mean, I hope that helps with them getting some players, some more money to get players because they always seem to be freaking cheap or whatever. So there's that. All right. So any wrestling news out there?
No, nothing since what I talked about last week with The Rock coming back. Nothing.
What about the
big. We're
Jericho
just still-
thing? That wasn't part of wrestling?
Oh yeah. So I don't even know. I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about that outside of the Twitter thing. So a couple of steps back before the thing that I sent you, there were some allegations on Twitter that Chris Jericho may have taken advantage of his position in the early days of AEW with one of the female talents there who ended up leaving shortly after she had, I can't remember if she signed or just, I think she had signed and then had asked for her release pretty quickly after. But somebody had made an allegation and then that wrestler had just tweeted a heart, and everybody took that as, acknowledgement that, they supported that account of what had happened. And basically ever since then, Chris Jericho's appearances on television have been fraught with reactions from the crowd. That happened shortly before the World's End pay-per-view, and then on that show, Chris Jericho was pretty heavily booed. It's my understanding this past week on Dynamite when he was there, they just continued playing his intro music, basically to drown out the crowd, it sounds like. That's a weird thing. I have not seen a clip of that, though, so I don't know if there's any context to it or not, but from the podcast that I listened to, it doesn't sound like there is. And then of course there's also, he and Sammy Guevara have a tag team title match tonight on Collision, and people are wondering because I think it's supposed to be a street fight, if it's basically just going to take place all backstage so that they don't have to, deal with any sort of crowd reaction getting picked up on camera. But yeah, the thing that I sent you was that MVP knocked out Chris Jericho on the Jericho Cruise. But I didn't really look into that. And I didn't know if that's actually happening like now or if that's just a thing that was reported from like a while ago. So let's say Jericho Cruise. Because typically, I mean, Jericho, okay, yeah, the 2020 Jericho Cruise. So this is just some old news that's coming out after the fact. So it's not, MVP saw him on the cruise, knew about these allegations and knocked him out. but apparently Cassidy Haynes of bodyslam.net has reported that Chris Jericho and MVP got into it in January 2020 on the Rock and Wrestling Cruise. After a heated exchange, MVP knocked out Chris Jericho. This is not the first time we've heard of MVP and Chris Jericho being at odds, as the two had reportedly had another altercation in a hotel lobby in May of 2022 following an AEW event. According to Haynes' report, the two had a heated verbal exchange before Jericho hurried to an elevator door, saying, "I don't fight jobbers." It is...
What jobbers? What does that even mean? What's that mean, man?
So in wrestling parlance, it means like low card guys, because if you're losing, you're doing the job, so they get called jobbers a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like maybe we're getting people are getting to be a little over Chris Jericho, and obviously with the allegations that came out, I think it's sort of a, I don't want to say dogpiling, because that almost sounds like it's not deserved in a way, but like it sounds like once the dam breaks, all the kind of shitty things that you did or have happened to you are going to start coming out. And yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people talk about Chris Jericho as of late, because one of the things that Chris Jericho used to do very well was know when to go on tour with Fozzy and take a break from wrestling. And that hasn't really happened since the beginning of AEW, and he's had a pretty prominent role since the kickoff of their television, the 5 years ago now. So that coupled with a lot of kind of the fringe stuff that's gone around with him, the outside of the ring stuff, like his wife being at January 6th, and him having Don Jr. on his podcast to promote his book, stuff like that. It always kind of flares up and then kind of goes away, because Chris Jericho always, like, whenever you see like one of these wrestling related like GoFundMe's or something like that, Chris Jericho's name's usually at the top. He donates a lot of money to people that need it in the wrestling world, it seems like, which is cool. But I think people are starting to consider that as like, him buying good PR for himself, because he's actually kind of a piece of work,
Yeah.
So I don't know. The initial allegations that went around on Twitter that have kind of kicked off this latest Chris Jericho kind of negativity, I don't know that they've really gone much anywhere else. He was beefing with some dirt sheet guy, Nick Hausman, who seems to be pretty firmly in the CM Punk camp. Like, for the longest time, if you were hearing about something between like those backstage fights with CM Punk, it was coming from Nick Hausman, and everybody suspects that Nick Hausman was basically getting that information from CM Punk. CM Punk and Chris Jericho seem to not get along, and Chris Jericho's constantly talking shit about like, oh, I know what happened in that incident, and I don't have any NDAs or anything like that. So part of like what kicked off this was like Nick Hausman saying like, oh, there's stuff going around. So he kind of used the journalistic integrity that he had to basically just start the shit with Chris Jericho, instead of, like doing the legwork and like making sure that people were okay with it coming out. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Like, it's like somebody might tell you a story about something, but it's not necessarily your story to tell. And sometimes there comes a time and a place when you want to tell that story finally, but he's basically using it to win a Twitter argument, is, using someone else's allegations. So that's been really messy. Outside of that, though, like that's all outside of the ring stuff. Outside of when he's being booed on television, it's really for like WWE. It's just the lead up to Royal Rumble, and AEW is kind of doing their lead up to Revolution, which is going to be their next pay-per-view, and it's actually going to be Sting's last match. Because he'll be retiring this year at Revolution. And it was announced on Dynamite that he is going, him and Darby Allin, who has kind of been, he's the younger guy that Sting has kind of been the protege to on screen. And they're going to be facing the Young Bucks in a tag team match. And Ric Flair, I don't know if I've mentioned him, but he's in AEW now. And they have like this sponsorship deal with his Woo energy drink. So like they've got Woo energy drink advertisements all over the place. People aren't particularly happy about that because of some allegations that have been going around with Ric Flair. But I don't know. It's a lot of just kind of messiness around the fringes. And then Tony Khan is just popping off on Twitter because like, he seems to have very thin skin. Tony Khan being the owner of AEW. There was a tweet from like the USA Network or Fox Network, because there's like WWE on Fox and WWE on USA accounts.
Yeah,
that are run by some probably intern that are usually pretty entertaining. It's where they post like the memes and stuff, and they'll also post clips. But Jinder Mahal, who is a former world champion, but also when he was the world champion, nobody was happy about it because he went from basically jobber to world champion. With some speculation, it's because they were trying to kind of rope in a higher Indian audience, because that's his background. He's Indian Canadian. He's Canadian, but of Indian descent. And he had like a 6-month reign. He beat Nakamura. It was Nakamura? Yeah, Nakamura and Randy Orton quite a few times, held the title. But he came out after basically not having been on TV for a very long time. I think he was on NXT, managing some guys there, and basically just any matches he's been in, he's lost. But he came out and he challenged Seth Rollins for a world title. And with whatever one of these meme accounts said to Tony Khan about like the cage match ratings, because there's a website that tracks wrestling matches that gives ratings and stuff from users, kind of like IMDb but for wrestling matches. He took a shot at Tony Khan saying, like, oh, but the cage match rating is going to be awesome or something like that. And Tony Khan's like, how do you have this guy that doesn't, hasn't won a match in 2 years, challenge for your title? Meanwhile, everybody's giving me crap in AEW because this guy that has a 28-1 record is challenging for the title. It's just like, he's a guy that just doesn't know when to take a step back from social media. So that's kind of been like the drama around wrestling, is really just like the not even in ring stuff. Yeah, and we still don't know what's going on with like The Rock and Roman, if that's a thing that's going to happen in Australia. It sounds more and more like it's unlikely it'll happen there. Roman's not even necessarily advertised for that show. And what does that mean for Cody Rhodes' chances at WrestleMania to have kind of the top spot there? I'm interested in all of it. There was a point in time where I thought I might be going to WrestleMania this year because it is in Philadelphia. So like it's a relatively easy trip to get up there. But at the same time, I don't know that it's worth spending the amount of money that they want for tickets, even in like the nosebleeds, to just like not be able to really see anything. And it's not like, the crowd is like, oh, I got to be a part of that crowd or anything. It's more about just like, oh, being a part of that event, and then you go home and watch it on TV, I guess. But Yeah, so I don't know what they're going to end up doing at WrestleMania. I feel a little bad for Cody if he doesn't win it this year, but even last year I was of the mindset that like Roman probably should lose at WrestleMania if he's going to lose. Like that's the biggest stage possible for him to lose. But there's a story to be told where Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns for the title at Madison Square Garden, where his father didn't quite win the title, but kind of won the title. Like I think he won, but then the decision was overturned or something like that. So Dusty never actually won the title. And they do Madison Square Garden shows still, but they don't like film them. So they're always like house shows. So I think if you did like a special event where it was like, all right, we're filming this one, and maybe that gives it away a little too much, but like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like going into the Chicago show where CM Punk debuted for the first time with AEW, it was basically an open secret at that point that CM Punk was debuting, and they were making it a special thing, but they never outright said that CM Punk was going to be there, and it was still an awesome moment. So I think you can build up to it being an awesome moment without just saying that Cody Rhodes is going to win here, but we all know Cody Rhodes is going to win there. So I don't know what they actually end up doing with that. I mean, if you get The Rock, you use The Rock. That's the unfortunate thing for Cody, and maybe they do a triple threat. I don't know, but I find that less interesting than if you were to do just The Rock versus Roman. Although, again, following up on last week, if The Rock is in as out of shape as it appears to be in regards to like cardio, basically, you know, obviously dude's super massive, but if he can't keep up, like obviously you could do a triple threat to kind of hide that a little more and give him some opportunities to take a breath on the ring side, while the guys who are doing this every week can kind of, you know, do their thing. But yeah, that's wrestling, Dominic. I think that's more than enough wrestling.
All right. So let's get into what we were watching. So I watched that Dave Chappelle special. I actually watched it. I forgot to mention it last week, but yeah, it came out about 2 weeks ago, maybe now, or so. Dave Chappelle. It was it took place in DC. It was when he was in DC. That's when they taped. That's when they taped that one, and it was all right. It was as good as his last specials, his last few specials, but it was okay. Like he what kind of jokes did he focus on? He darn what. Because it's funny, on Twitter, it still made it feel like he focused on transgender. He started out that, but he didn't stay with it. He basically said, like, I ain't doing no more jokes on him. I say jokes on him no more. And then he goes on.
Yeah, because that's basically the only one I've seen is the Norm Macdonald, Jim Carrey joke.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see that one. Yeah. But, yeah, so, but other than that, like it was okay. It wasn't great or anything. It was all right. So also I finally watched Spectre. I never watched that. That's the James Bond. I haven't. Yeah, I never did watch that one fully. I think I started it and just didn't finish. But I went ahead and watched the whole thing, and it was all right. I mean, I enjoyed it not as much as the previous one, but Skyfall not as much as Skyfall. Skyfall's still the best, and not as much as Casino Royale, but it's better than Quantum of Solace, or Solace. So like they're trying to make it like I mean, I guess Spectre was in the old James Bond too. But I never watched none of the old James Bonds. So
yeah.
It's an organization that's basically made up of all the bad guys. But thing is, so some of the guys that y'all fought were all seen to be part of Spectre in some type of way, like that they control them. And then, so it's I had to get a new cord. but then the chord I found, I think it wasn't working. So what's the last thing you heard?
When you were talking about Spectre, basically saying it's a group of bad guys.
Oh, yeah, they're a group of bad guys that they're from the other films. They were all part of the organization. Apparently, they were more Spectre had their hooks in them in kind of some way, or tentacles in them, I guess. Yeah, it was okay. It just wasn't. I just didn't like it as much as Casino Royale or Skyfall. Those are my favorite. Did you see Skyfall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Did you
saw
see Spectre?
Skyfall. And I'm pretty sure I saw Spectre. I feel like I remember it, but it's been years ago. I feel like the biggest thing I remember is like the whole, Blofeld reveal. And I feel like that only really works if you're like a huge James Bond fan,
Yeah.
It plays more on
exactly.
like nostalgia for the series than actually what has been built up in the previous films. Even though, if I recall, don't they like call back to some of that stuff and go like, oh yeah, like you said,
it does.
kind of like
They do. Yeah.
This person, was manipulated by this, by Spectre. Have you seen the latest one? Did we?
Oh no, no.
I haven't seen it.
I never seen it because that's why I watched it. I watched Spectre so I can go watch this new one. What's called No Time to Die, or
yeah, I think that's right.
I mean, because it's similar to another old James Bond title. I don't know.
No Time to Kill or something.
Yeah. So yeah. So it was okay. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but just like it. Yeah, Skyfall is still Skyfall and Casino Royale is still the most memorable ones for me. Okay, so what else? I think that's it for what I've been watching, right? So I guess we get to what we've been playing. You can go. Oh, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I can kick it off. So just more Zelda. I think after getting kind of back into the groove of it, I'm a little more positive than I feel like maybe I was coming off last week, especially about like the underground stuff. That's kind of where I'm focusing now because that's, I guess, how I get to the end boss, really. But it's also kind of triggering those feelings in me of like just kind of collectathon stuff, which I actually like. That's a positive to me. And right now, because the shrines up on the ground level are connected to those roots I was talking about, the light roots that I was talking about last week, I'm kind of just meticulously going through on the map on the high side, like selecting, I go to the high side, find a shrine that I want to go towards that's close enough to me on the underground, and then I go down to the down underground map and I, put a drop there so I know where I'm headed. So that's really kind of what I've been doing, is just filling out that underground map and also trying to fill in any like shrines that I may have not gotten above ground, because I know there's still plenty of them. But that's kind of really what I'm doing with that. What else I played is the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown demo. That's now out on PC and Switch and consoles and everything. Kind of in preparation for that game to launch, I believe, next week, like this coming Tuesday. And so that is the Metroidvania 2D side-scrolling Prince of Persia game that we've seen as of late. I feel like when I initially saw that game, there was a little bit of disappointment that, the Sands of Time remaster kind of fell apart. It seemed like, I mean, they announced that thing. Nobody was really excited, including myself, because it looked kind of bad. And then it just kind of disappeared into nowhere, which is probably for the best. But then this came along and it's like, okay, that's kind of a different thing. But it also kind of looked, I don't want to say low budget, but it does kind of look low. Well, when you're comparing like a 3D full action game to a Metroidvania side-scrolling thing, it does feel like kind of a step back in budget, at least. But
not in creativity, Daniel.
No, yeah, not necessarily. But it's just the talk around this game that I've seen since I guess review copies have gone out to outlets has Oh my goodness. Hold on. Sorry.
Got a frog in your throat?
Yep.
Have you seen those videos of those leeches who eat frogs?
Oh, no, I have not.
Yeah, it looks
And I
pretty
don't
cool.
think I want to.
It looks like an uncircumcised penis just gobbling up a frog.
All right. I think I'm good for as long as I need to be. All right. Yeah. So I was kind of apprehensive about it. It looked kind of cool, but I was also kind of like, I don't love the art style, even though it looks pretty good. Aesthetically, it's got kind of like a comic booky vibe to it, but I just, it didn't feel quite right. But the reviews have been like stellar for this game, and everybody's saying it performs well on the Switch, and it looks great on a PC and doesn't need, high specs. It runs on all the like ROG Ally and Steam Deck stuff really well. So I was like, okay, there's a demo out there. I'm going to give this game a try. Cause like even without a demo, it's kind of already decided like, oh, it's, I think it's a $40 game too. I'm probably going to pick this up cause it seems really cool. So I downloaded the demo on the Switch. I also downloaded it on the PC, but the majority of the time I've spent so far, about 30 minutes or so, has been on the Switch version. What they tell you in the demo is that it's not just like the beginning of the game. It's kind of like a curated section of the game where like maybe it's earlier on in the story, but they've given you additional powers that you wouldn't have necessarily, so you can get a better feel for what the game's going to actually be. So you do have like this forward air dash that I don't think you have initially in the beginning of the game, and some other moves like that. And so far, yeah, I am really digging what it's doing. It is very solidly in the mold of Metroid Dread. One of those things that kind of can throw me off about like a 2D Metroidvania style thing, or really any 2D game, is not being able to use the D-pad. That was the case in Metroid Dread. But that game ended up feeling fantastic, and I think they did just as good a job here with making you feel like you're in precise control of the character with the D-pad, even though, sometimes you don't get the like tappability precision that you might with a D-pad. Cause when you get into these more modern games, they kind of need to utilize all the buttons. So in this one, potions to refill your health are on the D-pad up, and D-pad down. If you hold it down, it does this really cool thing that I would love to see adopted in more Metroidvania games, is it takes a screenshot of the area that you're in and then attaches it to the map there. So that way, there's constantly stuff in Metroidvania games where you're coming up against and you don't have the ability to, open this door or reach this area or something like that. And now, not only am I putting a marker on the map indicating that I need to come back there for some reason, but I also can just look at the map and then pull up that picture and go, oh, it's that thing that I wanted to look at. Or, this is the next part of the path that I'll probably need to go on. I would love to see that taken even a step further and like let you make notes on it, do circles and things of that nature, just so it's like, okay, this is definitively why I'm taking this picture here. So I don't know if that could be added in an update or if that'll just maybe be something we see in future games, but I would love to see that kind of implementation, especially when we're talking about like a Switch version of the game where you have a touch screen, you can just, write directly on there. The combat feels good so far, but I am it's taken me some time to actually get used to it. Initially, I think part of that was me playing the Switch version through my capture equipment. I think there's slight lag to it, or at least that's the excuse I'm going to use for the times that you see me die in the video that I recorded. So there's that, but they give you a dodge. They also give you a parry that's on the right trigger and the left trigger, respectively. The dodge is kind of like a slide out of the way dodge. It gives you like a whole lot of space between you and the enemy. And then the parry is kind of a timing window thing. You did a similar thing in Metroid Dread. But this is mostly kind of hand-to-hand not hand-to-hand combat, but melee combat. You know, close up, close quarters. You've got two swords. You also do have a bow and arrow, so you can, you know, shoot enemies from a distance, but it's not quite Metroid where you're just, you know, shooting a gun from across the screen. So yeah, I mean, with the positive, you know, reviews and previews that I've been hearing, and the time that I've spent with the game so far, I'm super into it. I'm looking forward to this game now in a way that I wasn't initially. Like I was interested to see how it turned out, but I'm glad this ended up being as good as it is. And this is like kind of a great example of what we've been talking about as of late, where it feels like, you know, a lot of games are getting maybe over bloated budget wise. And it doesn't hurt to, you know, every once in a while take a step back, and, you know, you can even still take one of your huge franchise names and just make a smaller experience where it doesn't need to be a AAA, you know, behind the back walk and talk sort of Sony style big budget game, and it can still turn out incredible. So
yeah, the next Halo should be a Metrovania Halo. So.
You know what? It could work, Dominic. It could work.
Yeah, I mean, he already kind of looked like Metroid. I mean, I said Metroid, but Samus.
Yeah. Oh, what if they do a Samus Master Chief crossover? That's what we need. You know what? I would really like to see if Microsoft was able to like team up with the guys that did the Metroid 2 remake for the PC. And get them to just like, it doesn't have to be the next mainline thing, obviously, but like as a side, you know, they were doing some weird Spartan stuff with the Halo franchise there.
It could be a female Spartan, so it could be exactly just like Samus.
Oh man, that would be Nintendo's already writing those cease and desist letters down. But yeah, I think that would be cool because yeah, they did like Halo Wars and they did that Spartan, you know, top down game. Like they could do some weird stuff, especially since, you know, they're not really doing particularly great with the Halo mainline series right now. Just keep it in the zeitgeist out.
Yeah, they're not doing. It's like they're not doing great, but they're probably making money because of microtransactions.
I was gonna say I hope, but like also fuck microtransactions. But also like it seemed like Halo wasn't doing it quite in the same predatory manner that some other games do it, but at the same time, microtransactions.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Because like I'm saying, like, hey, I'm not hearing nothing about it, but I bet they post some numbers. I'll be like, oh my god, it's like, I was like, god damn it. Yeah. So I started playing Hi-Fi Rush yesterday, I think it was.
I saw achievements popping up for that.
Yeah, because I was like, you know what, man? It's been a year. It's been exactly almost a year now. This game has been out, and I haven't gone really back to it. So I said, you know what, I'm going to start playing it so I can at least beat it. So I can at least when we do a half-ass games, I can remember the game more and see if I will put it on my list. I finally got to the first boss because I didn't get to the first boss last time. I didn't even get to, so I finally got to the point where you go to the hub area where you're in some underground place with the girl or / woman who is, helping you out. So, I stopped there. So I'll probably play more of that. I recorded some of that. But yeah, I mean, I having fun with that beat stuff. I put cheats on though because I can time the beat better. There's a cheat to time the beat better. It's like I put the cheats on for health.
Is it just like a wider open window or something?
No. I mean, I put it's a cheat for health, and so that when I am trying to time the beat, like while enemies are hitting me, like because I'm trying to go with the beat, so when I mess up, it doesn't really hurt me as much. So I'm like, okay, I can get with it. Sense. But yeah, I enjoy it. I think with the song that was playing through the boss, I know they posted the song and the group that does it. I think it was a Nine Inch Nails song. Don't ask me what it was, but I just saw a Nine Inch Nails. Oh, I heard of that band. So yeah, because I don't really know rock songs. All right. So I also been playing a lot of Starfield. I actually started the Crimson Fleet mission. So, but basically everything's going the same. It's just that at the point I'm near the point where I'm going to have to pick a side, which I'm going to pick the Crimson Fleet side. And also I got a group of people with me that are okay with me stealing stuff and occasionally pirating other ships. There is one person who actually is a Crimson Fleet. She's not a member, but she was just there on the base because she's on the run. And being with her, she doesn't have a problem with me doing that stuff. While the person I thought didn't have a problem because she used to be a gang member, but apparently she's trying to go straight. Because
she's trying to bring you with her.
Because when I went and powered this ship, and then I was wondering oh, it's a glitch. The girl not following me anymore. So I went back to my ship to see if she was still there. And she was on the ship. So I talked to her. It said, she's angry with you. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. That's what the hell she angry with me for? That's like, oh my goodness. It's because of that. So then I had to go back to a safe spot where I just dropped her off somewhere and just picked up the other girl who was more accepting of my needs of poverty. But yeah, so yeah, she's more she's okay with the lifestyle because that's what she does. Because she pickpockets people. Well, I don't see her. She just says that she got something for you and that she pickpocketed or something.
Nice.
So I wish there was more people like that. I'm upset with Starfield. Maybe in their later DLCs or whatever updates they do, maybe they add something there. But yeah, that they don't have none of the main cast though. It should be at least one of those main casts that's be like, hey, I'm okay with a little killing. But damn, it's yeah, I want to explore, but also I don't mind the killing or something like that. I mean, because they tell you hey, as long as you don't get caught or something, you don't that doesn't affect our exploration. You can do what you want to do. They tell you that, but then they get all mad when you do it. So I was like, man, you sons of bitches. It's yeah. Oh man, but anyway. Yeah, and I've been doing a lot of ship battles, so I've been trying to level up my ship. And I've been having fun with that. I just have a hard time pirating because it seemed like I always blow up the ship before I could get on. I think I finally got it. Because then I figured it out. Oh, you can. I didn't realize you could attack a Pacific part. I didn't know how you do it, honestly. And then I figured out how you do it. So I attack the engines. But sometimes I attack the engines too much and then it blows up. So I was like, darn, I need to find a way that's easier to target. If that's something you have to unlock to the targeting, that's what was the problem was, is that you have to unlock it. So I was thinking I was doing it wrong. I didn't unlock it. That's what it was. So, yeah, so I finally did it and I got to board the ship or something. But I think it was a glitch because the people were shooting at me when I got on the ship, but they kept telling me that, oh, you need to get off our ship. I don't know, but I didn't kill him. I didn't bother killing him then. I was like, oh, I'm just going to just steal your stuff then. And then just walked off. I don't know what the hell happened. But anyway, yeah. I just had fun with that game. I did beat the main story of Horizon. So now I'm about to go play the, what's it called? And, darn, what did I say it was called?
Oh, the DLC stuff?
Yeah, the ice. I mean, not ice. It's something
frozen. Something.
Yeah, Frozen in Time. But aside from that, I have no idea what it is. But I'm about to go start that.
Frozen Wilds.
Yeah, Frozen Wilds. Okay. And the story of Horizon, the overall story, I like the concept. I should say, I like. The story is pretty good. The execution just is not as good. This game, and yeah, it's just like I said, the voice acting, man, they really didn't. I don't know what happened with the voice acting. Why they went so bare with that. In some cases, in important cases, it's not her, the black guy, who's always talking to her. I forgot his name was Siren or something, or like they're good. Aloy and him is good, but the other people, the others. There's probably a couple other good ones, but a lot of them, the voice acting wasn't done well, and I don't know that they're bad voice actors. It might have just been the directing of them. Like they probably just let them talk and just say, "Hey, that's good enough." And
right.
I don't
We don't
know
have
why.
time for another take. Let's
Yeah. But the gameplay, of course, is where it's at with playing those bots and everything. That's where the fun is.
Yeah.
Like I really love doing that, especially taking around that Tyrannosaurus Rex kind of one. Yeah, I mean it's fun as hell doing that. But everything else is pretty okay, mediocre to okay. Like man, I'm not remembering the game. Like I had more fun in the game when I first played it than I did now, and I'm hoping Forbidden West is they do some improvements on this game, because I still do I like it better. Do I still like it better than Breath of the Wild? I would say maybe. It's a baby now. It's not a definite.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is still. I mean, it's, like I said, it's just those little things that really hurts it for me. Breath of the Wild, though overall, I'll say that's a better game. It is a better game than for Horizon Zero Dawn. Like if Horizon Zero Dawn was better with the climbing and the story was a whole lot better. I mean, well, the execution of the story. The story is fine. Just the execution of it was a whole lot better. Like, it will be no question that I like this game. Like, it's just definitely a step back from God of War and the Uncharted games. It's definitely a step back at Spider-Man. Like, it's definitely a step back from those games. That one. Now I played whatchamacallit, what's the samurai game called?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, so I can't compare it to that one. Alright, so yeah, that's all I played. So I guess we'll take a quick break. When we get back, we get to the flashback segment.
All right.
And we're back. So now we're flashbacking to 2014, 10 years ago. Now we're starting these new games, and yeah, there was no games the other week, so I didn't miss anything. But a big game did come out early in 2014. The Banner Saga, the first of the trilogy, and yeah, I played this game. I didn't ever finish this game. I kept saying I'd go back, and it's been 10 years. So one of these days I will. But yeah, the Banner Saga has come out 10 years ago. This is a game where it's like a story-driven game, but you can change how the story goes, where you have a group of these settlers and warriors, like almost Viking-ish kind of setting, where they're moving and they're leaving the land. I know there are some type of monsters or something, some type of mystical beings or something like that was driving them from their lands, and you make choices. Like you get to a path, you make a choice of what happens. The choice could be that a lot of your settlers die, or they live, or you have to sacrifice some warriors or something, or it's multitudes. Like you're gonna have multiple endings. I think you're trying to get to some land away from them or something. Like it's been so long since I played it, but I mean it got rated pretty damn well, and I liked it. I really enjoyed it. And the gameplay, like when you do fight, it's kind of a grid-based gameplay. Strategy game. Kind of remind me of, well, for you it would be like Advanced War or something, but kind of tactics game, like Final Fantasy Tactics and things of that nature. But yeah, and that was okay. Even though I didn't care, I think I played with just cheats anyway. I just like the story part where I just got to choose like what to do, and like what would happen with my settlers, like if we stay at this inn or do we have money for food or something. You gotta watch. Yeah, it was cool, and they came up with two more. I mean, it came up with two more after, and I'm mad at myself for not even finishing at least the first one. Now, see, I forgot about it, and this just reminded me of the game. So maybe I will just just force my ass to just go ahead and just do it.
Throw some cheats on, run through it real quick.
Yeah. What else? You never played it, right?
I played it briefly. I can't remember the circumstances for why I eventually did give it a try. I mean, I always thought it was a really cool looking game, and the art style was incredible.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
hand drawn stuff. But yeah, I didn't play it for long. I don't remember if it was like a difficulty thing or what.
Was there voice acting?
I don't recall, honestly.
I don't remember those voice acting. If there was, it was good. But it wasn't. I say it because I would think if it was bad, I think I remember it being bad.
Yeah. I feel like there was, but at the same time, I just think there was a lot of text.
I feel like there was too. Oh, all right. So that was it for 2014. There was really nothing else, some phone games of that nature. So now we're going back to 2004, 20 years ago. Again, I think. And NFL Street came out. It kicked off 2004. And I lost Daniel. Dan, you still there?
Oh, that's me, though. Oh, that was me that time. Sorry.
You still there, Daniel?
He's still there.
Dan. All right. Let me go ahead.
Internet. What are you doing?
Try to get him again.
Okay. You should be back. Hello? Oh, fuck.
What?
Hello?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah. That was me this time.
Yeah, I lost you. All right. So,
what's going on?
Where's the last thing you heard? Did you hear NFL Street?
Nah, I didn't hear you say that yet.
All right. So now we're going back to 2004. NFL Street came out, kicked off 2004. I never played it. Like, I was always just in the NBA Street. I never played any other street. Well, that's a lie. I think I briefly played NFL Street, not the first one. I think it was another one. It was the one with the demo. I don't know which one it was. I didn't play enough of it to really give a strong opinion on it, though. But I think it did it. How does it reviewed? Like, how did people like the NFL Street?
I thought people were pretty positive on it. Like, it wasn't incredible, but I think let's see if we got some. Yeah, it's got a 80 on PS2 and 81 on GameCube, 81 on Xbox.
Oh, okay.
From Metacritic. Game Informer 7.75 across the board.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, because all of it was Game Informer. So yeah. I probably was looking at that and said, "Oh, it's just okay," and that's why I didn't bother with it. I bet you a Game Informer would have gave it an 8.5 or higher, I would have gotten it.
Yeah, that's definitely a cool concept. I mean, obviously we had already seen it with the NBA Street stuff, but I believe they did like smaller teams too, right? With the NFL Street stuff. I played, I don't remember which one it was. I want to say it was one though. I want to say I got it from like Toys R Us when they did one of their like buy two get a third free or something like that, and I bought like 3 cheaper sports games or something like that just to keep me busy with some games. And I didn't play it for a super long time, but I really thought it was cool and a little more fun for me as not a huge NFL guy than like Madden at that time, because you could do some big hits and stuff like that and get a little wacky and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, it looked cool. It looked cool. It's just that, yeah, I just stuck with, I just thought it was like, oh, it's just mediocre. I mean, it's not no NBA Street, so I just stick with that.
Yeah, because it definitely wasn't even like that level of extra, if you will.
Oh, okay. All right, so what we got here? We got Brotherhood of Steel came out. This is the Fallout. It's part of the Fallout series, but it was just a console version. And I never played it. I mean, I never heard of it until Fallout 3, honestly, when I started looking up
I was
all
going to
Fallout
say
games.
until the expansion.
Yeah. So I never knew of there was a game that was on PlayStation 2. But it was it got, what did it get rated? I don't think it was super great, Yeah, 64 on PS2, 66 on Xbox. Eurogamer get a 3 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
But IGN gave it a 7.5. So I think it's more of an action RPG. I think that's what it was. Like it was, Interplay Entertainment was, Darren, that was the publisher and developers for that. Darren Interplay. I remember them. But yeah, they it was more the isometric view type, well, top down. I should say top down view action. Was it an RPG? I don't know. It was an RPG. Let me see. Previously location, Brotherhood Steel. Use the same mechanics of the entries of Fall Cities, including special. Yeah, I guess you can say that. Yeah, they got tribute stuff. I guess maybe it was probably closer to what's that game called? I don't know if it's close to like a Diablo-esque kind of game.
Yeah.
But I mean, not so much just looting all the time, but yeah, just on that there, but not but definitely not like Baldur's Gate RPG though. Not like that. It's more action. So yeah. And what else we got here? We got this is the WB Games was formed. It was a division of WB Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. And I believe like the head of it was used to be the VP of Monolith, which was a game studio. He left Monolith, he became the head of that and started WB Games. This is when it was first formed. I wonder what the first game was.
Beginning of the end.
What'd you say? Beginning of the end. Oh.
Beginning of the end.
Yeah. I wonder what the first game was made with them. Actually, I probably just looked that up. WB Games. Come on, Wikipedia page. See, history, blah, 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 blah. What? They don't have a list? You should have a list of games on these sites, and nobody did that for the Wikipedia.
That Monolith developed in conjunction with Warner Brothers was The Matrix Online, the first acquisition. The first title under Warner.
Oh, here we go.
Was a companion video game to the Disney Pixar film Cars 3, titled Cars 3 Driven to Win.
What year was that?
That's 2017, so that doesn't...
No. I got it. I found the list. I had to click on it. It's another wiki page. Matrix Online, that was like you say with Monolith. Then they have Friends, the one with all the trivia. This is actually based on the TV show. Yes, I mean they are Warner Brothers, right? So, yeah,
that's true.
But I guess the one that really is the one, Justice League Heroes. And my friend has that game.
Okay.
And I played that game.
That game's still going, isn't it?
No, that's the single player game. That's the game that's like okay. Marvel superheroes. The isometric
Alliance.
Yeah, Alliance,
Ultimate
Marvel Alliance. Yeah, Ultimate Alliance, yeah.
Gotcha.
It wasn't as good as Ultimate Alliance, but it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I learned about the Marvel villains and stuff. Because I mean DC villains, because I didn't really know them. I never knew about Gorilla Grodd. Because I didn't watch Justice League on Cartoon Network. Yeah. All right. What else we got here? Oh, that's it. It was pretty short. I mean, it's January. Nothing really comes out.
Yeah.
In January, it's pretty quiet during this month. But every now and then, but you might get like one heavy hitter or something, or maybe two. I mean, because like last few years, Resident Evil has been coming out
Yeah.
early. This year you got Prince of Persia about to come out, which possibly could be a great game. I think there's something else coming out too this month, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I feel like that.
So yeah, so
When I was
you
looking
get
over the
you
list, I
get
was
some
surprised by.
you get some special ones that come out every now and then in January. So I guess we take a quick break. When we get back, we get to the gaming news,
All right.
and we're back. So let's get to the gaming news. What we got, Dan?
All right, Dominic. So first up, you added this one, but I had seen this going around after what happened, or rather didn't happen. You had mentioned last week that there were some rumors that going around that their EA could be showing off something at the national championship game for the NCAA football.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there was nothing there, right?
Nope, nothing.
Yeah.
So that rumor, whoever started the rumor can go to hell. They can go bird in hell.
Yeah, the stuff that I saw, I don't know if he's a guy that is knows that guy that started it or whatever, but he said, from what he had heard from that guy, his sources were pretty solid, and it sounds like the game might still be coming out this year, but it very much feels like that's not going to be the case if we're not ready to showcase it at the championship game, right? Like that's the place to show that game off.
That's what it feels like, but maybe they show it off somewhere else. But I just feel like just announcement, just something.
Yeah.
Like, not saying it had
Jeff
to be
Keighley's
a damn
got
commercial.
exclusive rights, Dominic.
Not that it had to be a damn commercial during the game, because some people say they watched the game, and people were pissed because it was a one-sided game. Michigan just beat up on Washington, but yeah, I didn't watch the whole game either, but I wasn't looking for that either. NCAA stuff. I think I actually forgot about it. Honestly, while I was looking. But I was thinking it's going to be something they post online anyway. So, but yeah, just like announcement or say, hey, this game is coming. Like a Twitter announcement saying NCAA. 20 what is this? I'm about to say 2014. 2024 is coming this year. Like in a tweet or something. Just as announced, even though you have a cover star, like have the silhouette of a cover star or something. If you still don't have one yet, because you probably won't get your cover star until technically you can get it now because now with the nil and everything. But
yeah.
You probably will wait probably close to the draft time to put their to actually maybe get the pick who's going to be on the cover. They usually do. But you don't want to announce it. You don't usually announce it close to draft time because that's usually NFL Madden be announced, like who's going to be the cover around draft time. But I don't know. Yeah, So yeah, like you said, if it is coming out this year, that's weird that they can just at least put an announcement out there. At least. With the coincide with the game, but whatever. I told my friend that the way they fucked up Madden, it's like I wanted this for so long, but I just don't trust that it's gonna be good, honestly.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna add stuff that's gonna hurt my single player. Like I never played that game online. And I never will. So I feel like they're going to add some stuff that will mess up my experience as going through like just the single player.
Yeah.
All right. So what else we got?
All right, Dominic. We've also got some more bad news. It's kind of unsurprising. I feel like the numbers may be a little surprising. Twitch is laying off.
The number was surprising for me, Dan. I feel like that's everybody.
Yeah.
I would think you ask how many people work there. I would say probably in the hundreds.
Yeah. Yeah. So Amazon has laid off 35% of the Twitch staff. This goes along with, I believe Amazon also let go of some people in their like Prime Video streaming segment as well. So people are estimating that to be about 500 people from Twitch. Like you said, if you asked me how many people worked at Twitch, I probably would have thought less than 500.
Yeah.
So for that to only be 35% of their staff would kind of be incredible. But regardless of numbers, like here we are again, same old song and dance. In fact, going through and, we're going to do the year in review stuff from last year. There's mentions of layoffs at Twitch last year. And I feel like there were actually several times where we had those conversations. But I think there was only one entry that I put on here. But yeah, I mean, here we are again, these companies, especially like, Twitch is even different from like a video game studio, right? Like Twitch, I feel like was part of the whole tech scene where it's like, all right, COVID has everybody at home. We're seeing exponential growth. We're going to bring in all these people to cover that. And, whether their intentions the entire time were okay, when things go down, we'll just let them go, or we don't anticipate them going down, whatever it ends up being, this is the unfortunate result of that. And you're seeing several hundreds of people losing their jobs, which is just a situation.
Yeah, for that many people, like it's, that's all I know. It's like, what was happening at Twitch that you had this many people on staff and now you had to let them all go?
Yeah. Yeah. What roles were they filling to begin with?
And then what happened? And then what happened?
Yeah.
Like what exactly happened that those roles are not needed anymore?
People got to go outside and touch grass, Dominic. That's what happened. And they stopped watching Twitch 99% of their day. I mean, that's all it seems like to me, is like there was just like that huge influx when people were stuck at home, You had kids doing school on Zoom, and on the other window they had Twitch open, I'm sure, watching, Ninja or whoever's cool.
I'm saying, but the employees there are like I just want to know what they do, because I'm curious. I'm curious what exactly do they do, because I know, are they just the people who monitor the make sure things are running on Twitch?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good question. Like, how many people do you even need to run that company?
That's why I was very confused when I was that many people, because I was like, I just thought you were more of like, I mean, you hold the servers and stuff. I mean, I'm sure, you need people behind the scenes. I mean, I don't fully understand.
But even then, like, you would think the server stuff, especially being owned by Amazon, would be a back end thing that Amazon proper, like AWS, would be handling. It's not even them necessarily. And obviously you need to have like community outreach people, so like keeping your streamers happy and stuff like that. But with as unhappy as some of those people sound, before even this round of stuff, like, doesn't sound like there were a lot of people doing that work, Yeah.
Yeah, that, and are these people just monitoring? Are they just monitors or something? And like, I'm curious what those jobs were there, because I just didn't think it'll be a lot of people for the background of Twitch. But like I said,
seems like a thing that could be run very lean.
Yeah, because it feels like it is.
Yeah, because most of the content is being produced by someone else.
Yeah.
So no, that makes a lot of. I mean, makes sense to me that they shouldn't be that big of a company, but clearly they feel otherwise. So
yeah, because that's only 35% of them.
It's wild, right? Like, yeah.
I mean, 35% of a company is big. I mean, that's big.
That is,
but
big,
but 35.
Still.
Yeah, but like if you said 35%, if you just didn't tell me the number of people and said 35% of Twitch was gone, I would have just been like, oh, it was only probably like freaking 50 people that work there or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's gonna be. It's like, it's gonna be a big number. We don't have as many people that work there. But no, now you tell me that's 500 people. Like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, good God, I didn't realize that Twitch had that was that big a company.
Yeah. I mean, they're running conventions, I guess. So, like, I guess there's a lot of people, like, having to organize those things and stuff like that. But, yeah, even then, 500 people only being 35% of their staff is wild. So, all right, Dominic, next up, This is a story that's kind of been an ongoing thing, but is more recently caught some attention in a negative way for Capcom. They have this new Enigma DRM system that they've been implementing into some of their back catalog of games. More recently, one that caught everybody's eye was Resident Evil Revelations, because apparently as a result of this, it was suffering from performance issues, which we've seen happen in the past with this DRM stuff. You're making the computer do more stuff in the background that's taking away resources from the actual game running, and poof, there you go. That's why, people hate de novo. And so it sounds like Capcom is doing this in kind of a retaliation to like the mod community that's going around for their games. Apparently they're taking some sort of exception to that. I had seen it quoted in an article on Polygon that it's reputational damage that can be caused by mods. And there's a relatively, I guess, famous example or infamous example of this, or relatively recently last year at a fighting tournament for Street Fighter, where someone unofficial, yes, an unofficial Street Fighter tournament. One of the organizers apparently had left one of the mods enabled during one of the fights, and when it loaded up the screen, one of the characters was naked.
And it was weird, because what I was reading is that it's possibly just the viewer, like the people who are actually playing didn't see that, but it was through a watcher, where I guess you can watch people play, and they can play. If you have a mod, they'll have the mod.
Oh, I wonder if it's kind of like what my understanding is, like with Dota 2, they basically like saved the in-game data instead of the actual video of a match, and then it would play back through your game engine. So yeah, like I could see something like that happening if that's something they have.
I mean, that's what somebody said. I'm not sure if that's exactly the case, but I was thinking like, that's. But then I wondered, like, but they say they stopped the tournament. I mean, they stopped it and then reloaded. So I'm thinking, like, why they stop it then? Because those guys, they don't see it. If they didn't see it, why would they stop this? Let them play.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So I could see how Capcom could look at that and go like, oh, people might think that this is, what our game is. And that's not great. And obviously we've seen different calibers of mods. There's some work that's incredible, and you wonder like, how did this game exist without this mod? And then there's others that are just super janky. Yeah. It's also been indicated that could be a burden on customer support. You get people who aren't familiar with the stuff and go, hey, my game's not working. And then you go like, yeah, do you have any extra things installed? And they're like, no. And it's like, what's this? That kind of stuff. I get that. But at the same time, you can address that. Sorry, this isn't our problem. Goodbye. Hang up. And maybe that's where the reputational
what other game studios do? What do they do?
I think they pretty much do the same thing. But that's the thing, right? Is like, I saw a lot of people, because when you told me about this story, I started looking into like what people were saying about it, and some people I was reading on Reddit made a good point. Like, it should kind of be illegal to do this after the fact. Like, it's one thing if I'm buying a game knowing that DRM is in the game, but if I picked up like Resident Evil Revelations years ago, which I did, and then now I'm playing basically an inferior version of it because you've decided that you need to put this you need to put this DRM in there, like, that's messing with my ability to enjoy this game, potentially.
You know what? And that's a good point. That's a good point.
And if you don't give me any sort of ability to get a refund or sell the game, which I can because it's a digital thing, like, yeah, you put me in a very bad position. One that, as a consumer, I am far more concerned about than your position as a company, worrying about these mods. So, like,
Yeah, especially
yeah,
single player games. Like, it don't freaking matter. And then even if it's a Capcom, it's like, dude, like I say, wait a minute, I got this game because I thought I could do this stuff. Unless there's something in your agreement saying you're not allowed to do this.
well, let's not go down that route, Dominic, because they probably do have that stuff in there.
But it's too small.
In those agreements.
It should have been the bigger font.
Should have been bolded at the top. Yep, in red.
Like, it probably is. Yeah, it probably is. Well, then you know what? If it is, then that should be enough. That should be enough in that you can do what you gotta do, but don't put no freaking DRM in there. Just this.
Exactly.
Yes.
Take me to court.
Yeah. Damn it. Damn.
Yeah, but that's a real bad. I don't like. I mean, we saw last year, I think, or maybe it was 2 years ago, the deal between Nintendo and Denuvo too. Like, I don't like that we are moving more in that direction than the direction that we were seemingly maybe lightly going in when CD Projekt Red, announced that all the stuff on GOG was going to be DRM free, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like this road. I don't like this road. This is the problem with digital.
I mean, that's the thing. It's always been about access. Like, as far as piracy goes, like, there's always going to be some base level of it that's going to exist. But the harder you make it for people to get a game legally and play a game legally, it's just going to motivate people to pirate stuff. I mean, like, that's the conversations you're seeing around, like, all these streaming services now. As prices go up, and now I have to have Peacock for the football game, and I got to have Hulu for this thing, and I got to have Disney Plus for this thing, even though they're the same company, and I got to have Netflix, and I got to, we're back at the point where we were with cable. So, like, people were starting to pirate stuff then. Why would you think that's not an option for them to do it now? And that's what I'm seeing a lot more people talking about. Whereas, there was Napster out there, but Napster pretty quickly went away when iTunes came around, and they just made it extremely easy for you to get music. And then, Spotify came along, and it's not like, that's the crazy thing, right? And you can talk about, like, artists making money and stuff. I'm not going to get into that. That's something that should be addressed if it's not the case. But, like, Spotify exists, right? It's got the catalog for the majority of music that people want to listen to. Sure, there are some holdouts, and there are some people that even drop their stuff, following, like, Joe Rogan stuff. But, like, Spotify or even Apple Music, like, they have similar catalogs. You don't have too many people. For a while there, like the Beatles were exclusive to Apple or something like that, but that fell through eventually. But you don't have that in streaming anymore. Now, at one point you had Netflix. That was the place that had everything because that was the only place that existed. But now you've got each studio wanting to be so greedy that they need their own thing. You don't see that with the music industry. Surprisingly, as greedy as they can be too. You don't have Warner Brothers Music saying, okay, my stuff is going to be on the Warner service. And you don't have, Def Jam Records being like, only our stuff's going to be over here. It's wild to me that we're letting these movie companies get away with this stuff when I don't know if we can say we didn't let them get away with it with the music, but, like, they didn't try it with the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Why why is this getting so bad?
Yeah,
basically, I guess what I'm asking is, when do they do that to music?
And that's the only argument for the physical, as far as movies, anyway. Because games, like we discussed multiple times, is that's just a disc. Yeah. Like, a lot of times it's just a disc.
It's a disc and a license.
Yeah, and if it is a game on there, it's probably the worst imaginable game. I mean, it's the worst of it.
It is the worst
version.
iteration of that game. Yep.
It's the worst version of that game. In most cases, there's only in rare cases where it's like, oh, they did an update that ruined something. You know, that it's just rare. But yeah,
which it's actually funny because I was listening to somebody talk about like the player's choice titles for like Nintendo and Sony back in the day when they would put out the red band and the yellow band copies. And they indicated that, oh yeah, that was also the time when they would add like patches and stuff into things. And it's so funny for me to think about now because I always thought about those as like inferior versions of the game, when in reality, the technical aspects of those games were probably better.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the box art being besmirched by some little banner, you know?
Yeah, the box art was pretty bad.
I never took that into consideration. That was kind of a cool tidbit to find out.
Well, you can say this about the well, see, that was another version of the game though. That wasn't a patch. Like Grand Theft Auto, not Vice City, San Andreas, with them take out the hot coffee bar.
Oh yeah, hot coffee.
Yeah, but you had to it wasn't no patch. You know, it was just you had the newer game, the newer version you bought from the store didn't have it.
I wonder if that's a thing that like still sells online at an extremely high price.
Oh, just
can I get a copy of the hot coffee?
Yeah, I was disappointed, Daniel, when I finally saw it.
I mean, you should be.
Yeah, disappointed.
I don't. Oh, the like, XXX version.
Like they could have had. Honestly, they could have had that in the game, and it would have been all right. It just became big because they hit it.
Would have.
They just
because it was the most absurd thing. Like they had their clothes on. It was just
so. It was like it's just that they hit it. That's why.
Just so much dry humping, Dominic. Gamers were not ready. Now the things they see in games.
Man, they got penises out there.
Yeah. All right, Dominic. So that is what I had for news this week. If you're good, we'll jump into our recap of the news from 2023.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So in January, we had, speaking of layoffs,
recap.
Microsoft basically gutting 343 and basically across the company, but it sounded like 343 kind of got a brunt of that. That's when we started hearing rumblings that, maybe Halo was going to get outsourced a little more to some other companies. We haven't really seen anything in regard to that, whether that be true or not. There were some rumors of
it's been very quiet
a Halo PUBG, like a Battle Royale game that we still haven't seen anything of.
Well, which we don't need to. I think the Battle Royale stuff, I think that's it. What we got is what it is.
You're right. It needs to be an extraction thing.
Yeah.
That's what we moved on to. We got to do one of those. And we also saw the announcement of the shutdown of several games, including Marvel's Avengers from Crystal Dynamics, as well as Rumbleverse from Iron Galaxy and EA's Knockout City. All of those just kind of came in quick succession with, the actual ending of support for Marvel's Avengers coming a couple of months later. But this is when we found out about it. And yeah, this was when kind of the live service bloom came off the rose. Like this was our first indication that, this is a market that's only so big and is only gonna satisfy so many people,
Yeah, exactly. It's sorry, I was leaning back. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like that it can't grow. Like it's not going to grow with that. Well, Knockout City wasn't, but that was a cool game. The that was the I say volleyball, the dodgeball one, right?
Dodgeball one,
yeah, that was all right. It's just the space though for those crazy zany games, even those kind of games, man. It's like it's limited. It's limited, man, and you just gotta like, people are still playing Among Us. People are still, hey, Fallout guys actually got they were down and then they got a growth.
Yeah.
And then because even my sister, she still be playing that sometimes. Fallout guys with her daughter. So
nice. Same here.
It's and then of course you got the biggest one, Fortnite and Apex Legends, and then Apex Legends, and I kind of put Apex Legends with Modern Warfare as a more of the serious kind of more extreme and older crowd. I mean even though it's still younger people playing it, but I don't think of certain people like playing it like this. My sister's daughter is never going to play it, and I don't think your daughter's going to be playing Modern Warfare. But
no.
But it's it's just you gotta grab them. Like if you don't grab them ahead of time, you're not gonna get that market. And then it all depends what you're going for in that market too. Like what is the expectations of that game, I guess. And from not gonna say I can see because it looks like they put a lot to that game, so it seems like even if they make some money, they have to be making probably a certain amount of money if it was worth to keep it up and running. Having those guys, keep it going and supporting it. It probably wasn't just enough to do that. Rumbleverse, man, that's just whatever. They just missed the boat.
Yeah. All right. Next up in February, Dominic, we had Microsoft and Nintendo announcing that they were going to partner up for 10 years of Call of Duty support, beginning eventually, I guess, because obviously we have not seen a Call of Duty on the Switch yet, but we did just finally get that deal closed. So Microsoft didn't necessarily have that ability.
That deal took longer than it's supposed to have because of certain people.
We'll get there, Dominic. I will be interested to see if we end up seeing a Call of Duty game as a launch title for the Switch 2, if that does end up being a thing this year. Even not so much, obviously, like Microsoft isn't going to have the ability to get a game out within the next, let's say, 6 to 8 months, a Call of Duty game. But I wonder if that was something that was potentially in the works that they
Call of Duty Lite.
They can pivot to make. Well, people did speculate that they could potentially put Call of Duty Mobile on the Switch, even base Switch. So we'll see if that ever comes to fruition. I don't know that there's enough market there for them to worry about that, because I think they put out Apex Legends for the Switch, but I feel like they eventually ended support for that as well. So that same month, we had Shinji Mikami leaving Tango Gameworks. That was, shortly after we found out about Hi-Fi Rush, as you had mentioned. So that was kind of surprising. It's still kind of surprising that we haven't really heard about what Shinji Mikami is going to potentially do, but tangentially related, we'll talk about some other news later. We also had the announcement of Mortal Kombat 12 coming unceremoniously from a Warner Brothers earnings call, basically. We already knew it was happening effectively, but for its first official, announcement to be from an earnings call is pretty sad.
Yeah.
We also had the Wolf Among Us 2 being delayed out of 2023. It's kind of hard to believe that happened so early in the year. I forgot that was such old news. But, with some struggles we see later on out of Telltale, that's not necessarily surprising, I guess.
Telltale. Oh, Telltale.
Was it?
Telltale.
Telltale, yeah. Telltale is the Lego people, right?
They
or Traveler's Tale is yeah. All right, March we found out the launch date of Starfield, September 6th. Did that end up actually getting pushed out from there, or did it come out in September? I can't remember now.
It came out September because it came out before Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah. So it did end up coming out September 6th. Okay. We had that. We had the announcement of Lego 2K Drive that feels like it went as quickly as it came. That even became a PlayStation Plus free game like before the end of the year,
and it just got
or
announced
at the very beginning.
And it just
of this
got
year.
announced that year. Dear God.
Yep, it got announced and released within. It was announced and then released in May, and then I think in January it was the PlayStation Plus game. We also had the announcement of Counter-Strike 2, that it would be coming out in summer, and that did end up happening. I don't know that anything is really going on with that. I guess I've never been part of the Counter-Strike community, so I don't know whether that ended up being a good thing or a bad thing. This is also when we found out that the open beta, as they were calling it, of Multiverses was going to come to an end.
Hey, is that coming back?
Potential. That's the potential relaunching of that in sometime in 2024, maybe.
Oh, no, that should have been one of our predictions. I'm going to say no.
Whether it's coming back or not. Oh, yeah, I think I'm firmly on the same side. We've seen what Warner Brothers has been doing across the board, so unless they're going to add like Joanna and Chip or whatever, the DIY guys to the game, I don't know they're going to do anything with that. All right, this is also when we found out that E3 was not going to be happening in 2023. Not gone, but not quite dead at that point, even though I think all the writing was on the wall at that point.
The body was in the casket, but it wasn't. He didn't bury it. He was still. Yeah, they were still alive though. We were just, but then.
Oh no!
Yeah, we didn't bury it yet.
Clawing and scratching at the roof. All right, in April is when we first heard some leaks of Sony's Project Q Lite, which ended up being the PlayStation Portal. We'll talk about that a little more later. Media Molecule also announced the end of support for Dreams. So that is, can't make games on your PlayStation anymore.
Darn Dreams, yeah.
Yeah. We also found out that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was going to be delayed for effectively a year into February of 2024.
It's almost here.
Now, it's almost here. Did you see that screenshot of the game, Dominic, that has like the HUD elements on it?
No, I didn't see that.
It is like just...
It's like Fortnite?
Bar. Yeah, it's like bar and word vomit everywhere. There's just like so many elements on top of the game that it's too much.
But it's not like a live service game.
What's that?
It's just supposed to be a multiplayer game, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a multiplayer live service. They're saying they don't want to call it a live service game, but it's effectively a live service game.
No,
but it's not.
I mean live service as in like it shouldn't be a whole bunch of like, like today, like get these. You can get these coins for this many prices, and how Fortnite had it, like how Fortnite had this stuff.
I think it might be.
That's ridiculous.
That's not even the game. Like that. That's more the menu stuff. But like the gameplay stuff.
Okay, what are we talking about then?
Yeah. Let me bring up the picture for you if I can find it. Justice League. Suicide Squad.
Somebody playing the Warriors.
Gameplay. Screen. Shot. Of course, why would I even click on the official media from the Open Critic? Like that's gonna have it. We've seen that one before. That's the loadout screen that looks like the Destiny one, basically. Where is this new one? I would think it would be at the top of this list since it was relatively recently. It was this week, Come on. Say January 2024. January. No. This might be what I want. Do you not have a picture of it? Or are you just writing an article about it but not showing it? You don't want to get sued. I see how it is. Taking me to 4chan, Dominic.
I mean, I'm just looking at the finals, and it's almost like it's Apex Legends and mixed with Overwatch.
Yeah. I've heard very positive things about that game.
And yeah, I do. Technically, I
Oh.
have it downloaded. I'm just.
It seems like they wiped this screenshot off the internet, Dominic.
Oh my god.
I mean, I know it's here somewhere, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to find it.
Oh,
But
that's
there's
fine.
just like so many gauges and bars and
Oh, this is on the actual gameplay, like the gameplay.
yeah, the actual
Okay.
gameplay stuff.
Oh, I see what you
And
mean.
there's
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that
but
sucks.
yeah.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, especially when, the focus should be on the action. It shouldn't be about like this thing happening over here and this over here and yeah. Anyway, if I find that, I'll send it to you later, but back to the podcast.
Like you're some Iron Man, like you're in an Iron Man suit or something.
Exactly. It's like that. This is in April is when we also found out that Tears of the Kingdom was going to be happening, releasing on May 12th. So this must have been also when the Queen died because, we were going to get that trailer and then it got delayed like a week because of that.
Oh yeah.
Or no, that's when we found out the title of the game. So maybe that was different.
Ruins everything.
This is also when the shit show around Redfall started because we found out that it was only going to release at 30 frames per second and that the performance mode was going to come at a later time. So these were the first signs. We also had some pretty big acquisitions. Did the performance mode ever come? Yeah, I think that came as part of the
crap. Hold on, man.
The patch. Yep.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So where were we?
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so they did eventually release that 60 frame performance patch for Redfall. That was in like October or something, I think. Along with that big update that they did. So yeah, I told you, Dominic, we got to go back to Redfall. We got to reconsider it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Everybody's wanting to do the work. He's game journalist, Dominic.
And now my friend got a
bad games.
He does have a Xbox Series X. My friend picked it. So.
Oh yeah.
I might can just try to get him to play with him with it.
Yeah. All right. Next up in April, Dominic, a couple of acquisitions, including Atari picking up the Bubsy license. So maybe we'll get a new good Bubsy game. And Sega acquired Rovio, the Angry Birds studio, which that one was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, that is surprising.
Wonder if they've done any like Sonic tie-in with that game yet.
I feel like I would have saw that though. I do follow,
exactly. I feel like it would have been bigger news. So you're on Sonic Twitter, Dominic.
Yeah, I follow him.
One of those perverts.
No, he's not a pervert.
All right.
now the people who might be replying.
People on the replies are definitely yeah. Can't go anywhere on that site anymore. All right. This is also when we found out that Vice's Waypoint website was going to be shutting down in July. So that was unfortunate. I know a lot of those guys from Waypoint have moved on to different things at this point, though. Guerrilla also announced that they are working on more Aloy games. So, perfect time for you to get back into this, Dominic. Yep. There's going to be more on the horizon. Yep. And this is when we found out that the UK's CMA was going to attempt to block Microsoft from acquiring Activision Blizzard King, citing their concerns over future streaming competition.
Still mad about the Tea Party.
Yeah. All right. In May is when we found out about the ROG Ally. That's when they announced the competitor to the Steam Deck. So that's when it really was like, okay, we're going to start seeing like some real competition in the space. Like obviously we talked last week about like the GPD Wind and makers like that have kind of been in this space, but these are a little more affordable than those. These are also not quite as powerful in some cases as those. But it definitely seems like this is a market that is starting to emerge now. We're seeing more PC hardware makers get into this space, including MSI that we talked about last week. This is also when Redfall released, and Phil Spencer had to go out there on the podcast circuit and make his apologies. Yeah,
what he exactly apologized for? Just
for it being bad, basically saying like we expected it to review better and be a better game.
Even the reviews and stuff. Come on, man, that's all opinionated.
Yeah,
but they had its problems though. They had other problems.
Yeah,
that wasn't just about the game being bad. I mean, it was like bad as in like bugs and stuff.
Yeah, I really hope that game is in a better state now, and I hope somebody's still working on that to maybe get it to a place where they could be more proud of it. This is also when we found out that the EU approved the Microsoft Activision deal. So, had the UK still been a part of that, maybe we could have got these games a little quicker on Game Pass. But, they had to screw everything up with Brexit, Dominic.
Yeah, exactly.
This is also when we got the PlayStation Showcase for the year. This is when we found out about Metal Gear Solid Delta, Alan Wake 2, and Bungie's new extraction shooter Marathon, going back to their roots a little bit. And we also found out about the MetaQuest 3 that was coming this fall and was going to have higher resolution, slimmer, and AR, which of course that thing did release and has all of those things. But also doesn't sound like it's as big of an upgrade as, some people may have wanted. So, especially for the price that it ended up coming out at. In June, we kicked that off with Summer Game Fest, Jeff Keighley's show replacing E3. This is when we first found out about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Mortal Kombat 1, as it came to be known, Sonic Superstars, the Mario Wonder Killer, of course, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We knew that was coming as some form or fashion, but I don't think at that point we had known the title, and we also did not know that it was coming in early 2024 on 2 discs, Dominic.
Yeah, 2 discs.
As everyone was excited about.
Crazy. I'm just so surprised that people were excited about that. That's the surprising thing.
People are monsters, Dominic. That's all I can say.
I remember people bitching about disc, and then now they're all like, "Oh wow, that means this game is huge." And I was like,
so much content. Meanwhile, I'm going to be playing it digitally, and it's going to be 7,000 gigabytes.
Yeah,
I'm mad about that.
And it's not because, you know what? It's some things are not because it's huge. It's because they didn't know they didn't feel like compressing it.
Metal Gear Solid. I'm looking at you. Metal Gear Solid 4. Yeah, and like not to besmirch the good name of Prince of Persia, but like that demo that I downloaded on the PC was 11 gigs. Why'd that need to be 11 gigs, though?
11 gigs.
Anyway,
like for some games that's a whole game. Like for those, like those type of games, like smaller games at least. I mean, I guess you could say because of the graphically, maybe it needs more. But I mean, I be seeing games like, you know, kind of the 2D side scrolling Metrovania that they probably may not look as good, but it's still, you know, those type of games, and as long 11 gigs will be the whole game.
And that's what I'm wondering if this does include the whole game, but because it's like a weird cutout of the game, I don't think it's going to have the ability for me to like continue from where I stop in the demo. So I just don't know what they're doing there. I mean, I guess maybe they still need all the assets.
Oh, no, man. That game going to probably be 50 gigs.
God, I hope not. I do not have the space for that. All right, next up, Dominic, was the Microsoft showcase where we finally saw Fable again, except it was in CG trailer form still. We also saw Star Wars Outlaws, Avowed, and Clockwork Revolution, which is a game that I had completely forgotten about until I was reviewing our old notes from those shows.
Now, about
and went, oh yeah, that game looked cool.
Fable, I mean, they said it was in-game, though, engine.
Yeah, they did.
So...
we'll see.
Don't be smirched it, Daniel. Don't put it down. That's in game. So I don't know. Yeah. No, that's what they said. But we'll see. We'll see how good it looks. I hope it does, man. Hope it does.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
For those Xbox people, for the Xbox can kick those Sony fans in the face.
Sony ponies.
The ponies, yes, the ponies. I keep forgetting the slur for I'm forgetting the slur, but it's for the PlayStation fans.
All right, this is when the Microsoft FTC case kicked off because America was pushing back a little bit on this Activision, acquisition as well.
Traitors, we call them traitors.
This is also when we had the Nintendo Direct showing off Super Mario RPG. At that point, an unnamed Princess Peach game, Luigi's Mansion Dark of the Moon, WarioWare Move It, and most importantly, Super Mario Wonder was shown off for the first time. In July, we had Microsoft defeating the FTC, taking them down a notch. Tell them they had nothing to worry about. We're going to give Sony Call of Duty all they want.
Defeat in America since like the Civil War. Yes, that's what it was.
Yes. This is also when Major Nelson announced that he was leaving Xbox. End of an era, Dominic. We also had EA announcing a Black Panther game from the some former Shadow of Mordor alumni at a studio called Cliffhanger Games. That is in addition to the Black Panther Captain America game that had previously been announced as well. And this is after that case and after Microsoft handedly, gave America its own ass back. Sony finally settled for 10 years of Call of Duty support because they knew they didn't have anything else to go off of after that.
It's just amazing because it's almost looking at this, it's like they shouldn't have to do that. Like Microsoft shouldn't have to give a game support on these other consoles because they buy a company. Like what? And it's just weird,
and it's not really news, so I kind of forgot about it, and it's going to be kind of lost in this section. But there were some rumors going around earlier this week that Microsoft is going to be putting out some of its titles on other consoles. Some immediate speculation went to Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, I saw
Switch.
that too, but I never got anything official from them yet.
No,
so
there's
that's what
nothing
I'm waiting
official.
For. Yeah, I want to wait for them to say something.
I don't know has it been announced. I think Microsoft may have announced that they're doing a developer showcase next week.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, it's January 18th.
Yeah. It's on their website.
Yeah, and that's going to allegedly include some talk about the Machine Games Indiana Jones game.
Oh,
so
that's what's
that
up.
Could be cool. I'm excited about that specifically because it's Machine Games, not so much the Indiana Jones part. I could take that or leave that, but those Wolfenstein games are pretty awesome. Also, Ninja Theory. Hopefully, we'll finally get a release date for Senua's Sacrifice. Obsidian showing off stuff. That should be avowed. So hopefully, we'll get some really cool stuff out of that. Should have that for next episode. So there's that. I wonder how Hi-Fi Rush would run on a Switch. That would be my concern if that turns out to be true. All right. Speaking of Microsoft, though, Dominic, this is also when we found out that Xbox Live was going to be rebranded very poorly to Game Pass Core.
Yeah.
I still feel that to be true. I really don't like what they did there. We also found out that Final Fantasy XIV was coming to the Xbox in spring of this year, 2024. And this is surprisingly the first time where layoffs are going to be brought up. Dominic, CD Projekt Red laid off 9% of their staff in July.
Well, layoffs actually started at the beginning of the year.
That's true. Yeah, with the Microsoft stuff.
It was a nice little break.
There was. Yeah, because I was between that and the Microsoft stuff, I expected it to come up a lot more often because it felt like every week we were talking about, especially the Microsoft stuff. But it really didn't as much as I thought. And as we get now into the end of the year, we are going to start seeing these layoffs popping up a little more frequently, unfortunately. In August is when we found out that Red Red Redemption was going to be coming to the Switch and also the PS4, but not the PC for some reason. Still lacking a PC port for that game somehow. We also got Quake 2 Enhanced announcing and releasing. That is the one with all the beautiful ray tracing. And the first time that we saw the PS5 Slim, and we weren't totally sure if it was a real picture or not. And we eventually found out in the next couple of months that it was, in fact, the real deal. This is also when Microsoft made a deal with Ubisoft to sell their streaming rights in the UK, basically to appease the CMA so they could get their deal through. So now Ubisoft is in control of that stuff. We also had Charles Martinet stepping down as the voice actor for Mario, becoming a Mario ambassador, as they now call him. We also saw Bio.
I was wondering, what does he do? What does that even mean?
He goes around and does the voice still. That's what he does. He indoctrinates people, sells the Mario games, Dominic. Like there's anybody in this world that doesn't know a Mario at this point. All right. Next up, BioWare lays off 20% of its staff, basically about 50 people out of their 250-person studio. See, now, like you look at that. BioWare, a studio that makes gigantic RPG
They only
games.
have 250 people.
250 people. Twitch, somewhere in the thousands, apparently.
Yeah.
Just wild. Wild.
I just want to know for the Twitch platform. I just want to know what those people did. I just didn't think it'd take that much.
It was actually streaming partners. They just let a whole bunch of
that's
them
all. I was going to make that joke. I was going to make the joke and say,
but it's kind of distasteful.
Yeah, I was going. What? That's not the reason why. I think I forgot.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, because that's what I was thinking. It's like, are they talking about the Twitch partners? Is that what it is? Is that how they doing that? Because it's just a lot of people. I didn't realize how many people were.
Still not sure that I believe it. All right. This is also when we had opening night live, the Gamescom Jeff Keighley show. That was basically just a lot of release dates for things. I don't know that we got anything particularly new out of there, but that's when we found out that Tekken 8 was coming out this year. Also, Alan Wake was coming out last year around Halloween. All right. We also had Volition getting shut down, unfortunately, following Saints Row, not performing particularly great. And also when we found out that PlayStation was going to raise the prices for all of their PlayStation Plus levels. So in September is when we had Unity just falling flat on its face and trying to instill these install fees and everyone basically pushing back against that. They kind of walked that back a little bit, and I think basically permanently damaged their reputation with the video game developer community. So good luck and Godspeed to them, I guess. We also got a Nintendo Direct. This is when we got a couple more new announcements. Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake coming. F-Zero 99, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake happening, and the Princess Peach game got its title, Princess Peach Showtime. During September, we also got a Sony State of Play. Saw that game Baby Steps, where the grown-ass man is struggling to walk.
That game. Yeah, kind of reminds me of me when I get up in the morning.
We also saw more of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Some other stuff there, but nothing.
There's got to be like some DLC called Afterbirth. But which is already done, I know.
I was going to say they already did that with Binding of Isaac.
Yeah.
I guess, so. All right, next up, Division was announced. Division 3 was announced via Twitter. Again, on some ceremonious game announcements this year was kind of a trend. Microsoft was granted preliminary approval by the CMA for their acquisition of Activision, so they finally, kind of won over there.
Yep,
and this is when they were saying like, "Oh yeah, it's going to be finished by October 18th," and then that kept getting delayed. But this was also when we had Microsoft leaking all of their own documents, and we found out about stuff like the potential for an Oblivion and Fallout 3 remasters, as well as their new console refreshes that will seemingly be all digital if they follow through with those plans. And yeah. And then you had Hideki Kamiya leaving Platinum Games. So I know there's a lot of speculation that him and a guy from Tango Gameworks that we talked about earlier, Shinji Mikami possibly hooking back up, and it doesn't seem like that's happened just yet, at least. So I do wonder what happens to those guys. They created some pretty prolific series, so
yeah, we
shall see. We also had Jim Ryan leaving Sony. Microsoft got their win and Jim couldn't handle it. So
just a coincidence, Daniel, as the ponies have said.
I'm sure. We also had Sega canceling Hyenas, a game that everyone had already forgotten about by that point anyway.
I still don't remember. I don't remember what it was.
Rest in peace.
What was it about?
It was a heist live service. It was like Payday in space, I think, with bounty hunters.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I already don't care about it.
This is also when we had the huge layoff from Epic, around 870 people, as well as their divestment from Bandcamp and the raising of prices on V-Bucks. Just like the epitome of ridiculousness when Fortnite is still going bananas everywhere. Yeah. So in October is when we also had some layoffs from Naughty Dog, Team 17, Telltale, and Twitch, as I mentioned earlier. We also got the announcement from Nintendo that they were going to be ending multiplayer online support for Wii U and 3DS games in April of this year. And John Riccitiello was maybe forced out of Unity following their very poor handling of those new fees. This is also when we found out officially that the PlayStation 5 Slim was a thing. That basically also happened as a Twitter announcement, I feel like.
When is it supposed
that just kind of came out of nowhere. What's that?
The PlayStation 5 Slim. That ain't come out yet, did it?
Yep. Yeah, you could buy that during like Black Friday and the holiday season. They had a Spider-Man 2 bundle.
Oh, okay.
That was going around. Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. Like that, it just kind of came out. It just appeared on shelves all of a sudden. This is also when you had Best Buy announcing that they were going to stop selling physical movies, which has begun. I've seen pictures on Twitter of empty racking and shelves. So
yeah, people.
What is a Best Buy anymore, Dominic?
I don't know.
I mean, the Best Buys around us have basically all shut down, and before that, they were already looking like barren wastelands. I can't imagine then taking out sections of movies, and I don't know if they're doing CDs still or if they hadn't been doing CDs for quite a while now, but they probably sell records. They probably sell more records in a Best Buy.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think somebody said
CDs. That's just
I think it's just a place for like the regular consumer to go see a computer.
Yeah.
And or phones or something to get their hand, and TVs. I mean TVs too.
Yeah. But even those, like you see those at like Sam's Club and BJ's.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just that if they thinking about, people still go in there and they look at them.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, because they got a big area, the big, kind of like living room part setup. That
setup.
You don't have it at the other places.
That is true. Very true. All right. We also had Pete Hines leaving Bethesda, which now that I think about it is kind of interesting that we saw both Major Nelson and Pete Hines. I feel like those guys shared similar roles at their respective companies, both leaving. I think that also follows, some of the management shakeup and some of the leaks where we saw emails from Pete Hines like, why is Activision going to get to make Call of Duty games on everything? We can't make Elder Scrolls games on everything.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it was like, all right, Pete, it's maybe time to take a step back. We also saw Atari acquire Digital Eclipse. They did the Atari 50 collection and have done very good,
and you know what?
remasters of old games.
As a developer, I feel that. As a developer, yes. Like developers, yes. You don't. Like, 'cause I'm thinking, like developers of Naughty Dog, like if they could put their game also on Xbox and Nintendo somehow, if there was a possibility,
streaming,
would they want to? Or why wouldn't they want to?
More work.
That's it, right?
Outside of that, but yeah, like wanting more people to be able to play your game. I would absolutely understand that. It's they're not the hired brass that's getting bonuses because it's exclusive to one console or another. Yeah, absolutely. All right. In November, we saw Nintendo teaming up with Sony for the announcement of the live-action Zelda movie following the success of the Mario movie.
We'll see how that ends up turning out. That's the thing. Live action, I don't.
I just don't know that I want.
Because is he going to be
honestly, I think in a lot of ways I would prefer a live action movie just because you can make it Lord of the Rings. But at the same time, I don't know why it popped in my head the other day, but I was thinking about it at work, and I'm like, the story to Zelda, there isn't much there. The gameplay has always been what's driven that game. And like, what am I going to do? Watch this guy like go into a dungeon, acquire an item, and then fight a boss?
No, they're going to make their own story. But it's just, to my point, is that when they do that, it's like you could have just done anything. You didn't have to be called Zelda. But I mean,
Zelda's going to get Daniel to go to the theater, Dominic.
You put the things that happen in Zelda. But I don't know, man. I'd rather for it to be computer animated like Mario. I mean, Mario, not of course not cartoony like that, but darn.
Yeah. Like the Space World trailer, the game that we deserved, Dominic.
Yeah,
we never got.
What a live action. Yeah, live action.
Actually, you know what? What if they did like a Wind Waker art style Zelda movie?
I would like that.
I think that could be cool. All right, Dominic, next up, this is the announcement of the announcement trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6. We found out in November that we would be seeing a trailer for that game in early December, and sure enough, we did.
Yeah.
This is also when the Steam Deck OLED was announced and released, so we saw Bungie lay off 100 people following their acquisition from Sony the previous year. So, what a shit deal. We also saw Sony delay half of its planned live service games, which may be very closely tied to why Bungie had to lay off lots of people. We also saw Amazon lay off 180 people from their games division, and Embracer Group lay off around 900 people, Dominic. That should have been that entire company, I feel like. Embracer Group is like the farcest of companies. Like, I don't believe that is any more than just like one man sitting in a tax shelter in Delaware, just like saying they acquired all these things and having no idea what to actually do with them, even though I think they're like a European company. So I don't know, Ireland, some tax shelter in Ireland, I guess. Yeah, like that is just wild that Embracer the year before was just eating up all these companies, and then I guess did not get the money that they thought they were going to from the Saudi Arabian government and just absolutely fell on their face. Like they are one of the shittiest companies, it feels like, as we have seen over this past year. We also saw the announcement of The Last of Us Part 2 for the PS5. This feels like, in addition to the last time that The Last of Us was involved in the most unnecessary of remasters, this is part 2 of the most unnecessary remasters. This at least has a $10 upgrade, which could have effectively landed you this version of the game for $20 had you known to buy that game then and not now, because they're never going to drop the price of that PS4 version to that price ever again. And then in December, Dominic, we had, of course, the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, which looks awesome, but absolutely killed us with that 2025 release date. I was never expecting that to be the case.
Nah, never.
And was disappointed to see that. Especially because I wonder what we see between now and the release of that game. Are we going to get periodic updates of like, hey, we're going to get like a character profile video or something? Yeah,
like they did. That's what they did with the previous one.
Yeah, like are we gonna see that every like 3 or 4 months or something?
That
like
I don't
that,
see. That's I don't know how they did that with Red Dead Redemption either, because they did have like that trailer where say, hey, we're talking about the gameplay. And this is what you do. Like, I remember watching a developer. Well, I don't know if it was a developer talking, but it was almost like it was telling you all the mechanics and stuff of the game. Now, the previous Grand Theft Auto, they had those. They had a few trailers. Cause they had those one with each character trailer, and then they had an overall gameplay. I don't know. Yeah. If they were doing like a deep like developer diary thing, man, that would be cool. Like, that would be. It's always developer diaries are always on games I don't care about. Like every time I see me or games I don't really care about a developer diary for. Like I think what's it called? Of course, Psychonauts 2 I think had that. Even though I liked the game, I just didn't. I don't know. For some reason, I didn't care about seeing a developer diary for it. And I think
the one for that especially is just like add several hours and hours and hours, like 50 to 100 hours of footage, and that's a lot.
And then I think Ratchet and Clank, maybe one of those Ratchet and Clanks or Insomniac games had it.
Yeah,
And
they've
for some
definitely done
reason,
that stuff.
I was just because I was now if this was like maybe somehow early Ratchet and Clank on PlayStation 2, I would have been into it. But I just seen enough that I was just like I just want the game. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, some of these games I don't really see dollars for that I particularly care for. Like Grand Theft Auto, I think I would watch that. I would watch one of that. Or if like Gears is going to have one or something, because I really want a Gears game or something like that, I will watch it. But yeah, it's few of them I do want to see, but they don't have them. But yeah, so where we at now?
All right. Next up was the Game Awards. This again, we didn't really see like super huge announcements. There were some pretty big things like Light No Fires, the new Hello Games game. Jurassic Park Survival looks like it could be cool, and that God of War DLC Valhalla sounds like it's pretty neat. People are pretty positive on that. This is also when we found out that E3 was officially dead. The ESA announced that they would no longer be doing it. That was the final nail in the coffin.
Jeff Keighley
We
killed
also
him.
had, he really did. If he didn't kill him, he definitely helped. There are charges to be brought against him. This is also when we found out that Bobby Kotick was going to be leaving Activision on December 29th. He got to stick around a little longer than that after that acquisition was closed out, but they finally got him out of there, Dominic. And the biggest news was at the very end of the year, Insomniac getting hacked and just having their entire roadmap for like the next 10 plus years.
Yeah, I mean, goddamn.
Leaked all over the internet. You know, we saw Wolverine Alphas running on PC. We saw Spider-Man 2 PC port running on the PC. We found out about the Venom game, X-Men games, new Ratchet and Clank game. Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man multiplayer, potentially, just everything.
Yeah.
So, unfortunate for them. Kind of cool to see for us.
Yeah, just the news part. Yeah, the game.
I'm not going to pretend like it's not but at the same time, those are now all things that when they pop up in a Sony showcase, I'm going to be like, oh, that thing finally, instead of like, oh, shoot, they're doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that kills it. That does.
Yeah.
That does kill
So it's
the
like,
excitement
all right,
of
just
it.
check that off. Tick another box. Finally got that game announced. Yeah, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, that was the year, you know, pretty dominated by the Microsoft Activision acquisition stuff, a lot of layoffs, but some pretty spectacular game announcements, some pretty spectacular games.
Yeah, like
released,
Redfall.
You know, and
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and you know, like the games we will get to when we get to our, you know, game of the year stuff, our half-ass game of the year stuff. That's when we can really dig into what awesome games came out last year as well. But yeah, I think overall it's a year that breezed by. Some of these news stories I reflect on, and I'm like, man, that was 12 months ago. Whoa. You know, it feels like it was just weeks ago that we were still talking about some of this stuff. But yeah, I think overall, you know, another pretty interesting year. What do you think, Dominic?
Yeah, I think overall it was a good year as far as games. As far as games, it was overall a good year. Like, I mean, it's sad for the layoffs. It was also a year of layoffs, which is sad. But actual like games coming out and people enjoying playing. Man, there was a lot there and a lot of variety. Man, you got the fighting game scene. You got Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, the big names. Both of them came out this year. You got Starfield finally coming out. You got Spider-Man 2 coming out. You got you got Harry Potter. You know, the Harry Potter game turned out. Remember years ago we talked about like, oh, is this Harry Potter like Gears or something? War or something, but now we finally got it out, and it turned out to be all right, man. And the best-selling game of the year. And then you got what was the other one? Zelda. Zelda came out. It came to Super Mario. Like Super RPG, that was a surprise. I mean, both games were a surprise, but the Super RPG was really a big surprise. Come out the remake, and yeah, man, it was a lot. It was a lot that came out the year. A lot of variety. Baldur's Gate becoming as big as what it is. Even though, I mean, technically, a lot of PC people already knew about it because they been playing like the beta or early access.
Nerds.
But Baldur's Gate, because huge it is. Alan Wake 2, and actually being really good too. Like, people enjoy it. I mean, it's a lot, man. I mean, it was a great year for games. It's a great year.
Definitely. All right, Dominic, I didn't say new releases before we got into the segment, and I'm not going to say them after because there was nothing this week. So that's kind of all we got for the podcast.
Yeah.
We'll wrap
so
this
next week, I think maybe we do the half-ass, or I'll just do, because I will say how long this one would go, because I would say I was going to do what was the game of the years from 10 years ago and 20 years ago or something like that. But I think this is long enough podcast, so I can say that for next week or whatever we come back.
Yeah, I think we could do that next week, as well as we'll have the Microsoft stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably going to be out the next week unless we record on a different day. So that'll give us a little time to prepare the half-ass Game Award stuff.
All right. All right, then.
All right. Yeah, with that, we'll wrap this bad boy up. Thank you guys, as always, for listening. You can check us out on Twitter. Dominic's at DStalworth5. I'm at RegulusMB. The podcast is at Supapod, SUPAPOD. Supapod.com is the website. You can check us out there. It has links to all the places you can find us, including YouTube, where there's a video version of this podcast, as well as iTunes, Stitcher, Google, not Google Podcasts. Well, Google Podcasts for a little bit longer. YouTube Music? Spotify, Amazon Music, all those places. Basically anywhere you can find an audio podcast, we exist there. And if we don't, let us know and we can find ways to get there. And until next time, guys, talk to you later.
All right, see you.